Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Tan Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, Chairman, Asian Strategy and Leadership Institute, ASLI, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure that everyone here has at least heard of the opening line from A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which I read when I was 10, about the bells and whirls of times. I've always admired how the author vividly painted Paris. Paris as both this shining utopia and a bleak slum at the same time. You can find some similarities in Malaysia. On one hand, Malaysia is rapidly accelerating its transformation into an IR 4.0 digitally powered economy. According to the World Economic Forum Future of Work Report 2017, employers are demanding for employees with hybrid skills. They want future data scientists, nutritionists, or lawyers that have soft skills, emotional intelligence, and values above and beyond just technical expertise. Many schools and universities have embraced this new future head-on. For instance, our new primary and secondary curricula, KSSR and KSSM, have included many 21st century elements and skills, while many public and private higher education institutions have introduced data analytics curriculum into non-ICT related degrees, such as accounting, education, and pharmacy. While we are preparing for this future, there are, however, still many students who are left behind. Those who are in rural areas. Now, I learned to know that Tan Sri came from Pusing Kepala. Pusing, I suppose, is a rural area. I never heard about it before, to be honest with you. But I feel so lucky to learn that in Pusing, there's a big Hakka community, Cikanying. Which, I mean, my mother is Hakka, and I'm happy to learn that Tan Sri also from Hakka clan. So in Hakka, we call it Cikanying, means one family. Those who are in rural areas, like Pusing, the B40s, those with special needs, the indigenous Orang Asli. Just now I was making a joke with Melissa, saying that, oh, this is the real Orang Asli. Okay, the Orang Asli, those indigenous from Sabah and Sarawak, the stateless, nevertheless. In fact, I was recently at an Orang Asli school in Cameron Highland, where students were hardly learning and the teachers hardly teaching. It's very unfortunate. Now, talking about Orang Asli, one thing that I should acknowledge Sunway University and Jeffrey Chia Foundation. You did talk about volunteerism. You did talk about giving back to the society. I know of this one person who, his daughter is currently studying in Sunway University. What brought his daughter to Sunway University has a lot of things to do with Orang Asli. She was not brought here because of her flying colors or examination result, but she was brought here through a scholarship by Jeffrey Chia due to her voluntary work at Orang Asli Kampung in Gombak, where she spent every week there to train the Orang Asli and the whole kampung English and entrepreneurship skill. Because of that, she won a scholarship from Jeffrey Chia Foundation to study here for her American degree program. Thank you. I hope you will provide a lot more scholarship, the similar scholarship for those who are working not only for Orang Asli, but also to OKU and other people. And I believe the like of these girls are many. We just need to go and find them. This issue of two extremes is not just in education. The Global Nutrition Report 2018 showed Malaysia as the only country in ASEAN with all three burdens of obesity, anemia, and stunting. As the Minister of Education, my task is to ensure policies are holistic and take care of everyone's interests, which you can imagine is quite a gargantuan task for a small person like me. But I'm glad I'm not alone. All of you, education stakeholders here, in this hall, and out there are tirelessly working along me and the ministry towards an education system that we can all take pride in. When I was entrusted with the honor and duty to helm this ministry, it struck me in the early days that there are a million things to focus on and fix when it comes to education. From this preschool curriculum to the postdoctoral program, from teachers' welfare to the door of schools' toilets in Ulu Rejang. I keep receiving tons of messages every day telling me, YB, please come to my school, we have problem with our toilet. YB, please come to our college, we have problem with our principal. YB, please come to our institute perguruan, we are not receiving our allowance yet. YB, please come to our hostel, we're still eating mee Maggi. Because, you know, the taste of food in the canteen is not so good. You know, those kind of things. In some areas, major revamp is needed, but in most areas, the focus on effective delivery is most needed. And what is really challenging from day one, but is also an opportunity, is that everyone has an opinion on our education system. From the cleaners to the professors. Almost everyone has experienced the system differently and will continue having valuable perspectives on how to improve it. So in crafting our game plan to transform the system, we drew on this collective wisdom by forming a community of experts in Majlis Penasihat Pendidikan Kebangsaan, MPPK, which I can see their faces here. Tan Sri, Datuk General, could you please stand up? Our Majlis Penasihat Pendidikan Kebangsaan. And also Prof. Rosita, thank you very much. And these are the superheroes of our education system. Thank you, Tan Sri Wahid. These are the Captain Malaysia. I call them the Avengers of Malaysian educational system, which is being led by our not Captain America, but Captain Malaysia, Tan Sri Wan Zahid. A big of applause to Tan Sri Wan Zahid. And also not to forget the Jawatan Kuasa Dasar Pendidikan Negara, that we empowered them to revisit our current educational system and curriculum. And I could see their faces here. Cikgu Cheryl, who else? Could you please stand up? All of you from JKD? From Madeline. Okay, thank you very much. Whose members are here today, as well as experience from the community. I've learned that JKD is currently receiving more than 25,000 public submissions with suggestions on how to improve our education system to date, which demonstrates the public's priority to at last have an education system that we can all proud of, or at least have confidence in. Excuse me. Especially relevant in crafting our strategies are the perspective and experiences from the private education sector. I would like to acknowledge that the private education sector has significantly assisted our country in increasing access to quality education, from preschools to higher education. Thank you, Pram. With only 40% enrollment rate in higher education in the 80s, we are now at 42%, partly thanks to the support of many private education institutions. A big round of applause to you guys. There are plenty of talent that Malaysia are proud. There are plenty of talent that Malaysia are proud of that are products of these institutions. Many of you in this hall are a testament to that. To ensure we continue to harness this strength, more engagement is needed. And we have so far met with groups such as NAPE. Can I see hands from NAPE? But they're not here. NAPEI. NAPE. And MAPCU. MAPCU. Can I see hands from MAPCU? Thank you, MAPCU. We have so far met with these groups to understand best practices, lessons learned, and ongoing challenges in relation to the private education sector. These types of engagement will continue in my tenure here as the Minister of Education. I will ensure you that it will continue happen as long as I'm the Minister of Education. I believe through this collective wisdom and feedback from so many parties, we have three main outcomes we want to achieve for the education system as a whole. Much of this I have spoken about at my Amanah last month, so I will keep this short and share how this relates to the private education sector, because I listen and I hear to the grievances of the private education institutions. They said, we are being abandoned by the minister. When he was addressing higher learning institution during his amanat, he did not even mention IPTS. He did not even mention private higher learning institution, which is not true. Actually, I was explaining them in general, which includes both public higher learning institutions and also private higher learning institutions. But anyway, firstly, if we want our education system to prepare our children for the future, then we must first ensure we prepare them to be upstanding citizens that will readily integrate into the society. I have shared the three values I feel are important to be embedded, namely love, happiness, and mutual respect. Excuse me. I believe ensuring our children have these humanistic values is missing in our pursuit for higher achievement. Love. Do we truly value and love every single child and try to bring out their own individual potential? I really want our schools to be able to not just teach, but to impart the love of lifelong knowledge. Happiness. How do we get educators to enjoy what they do? And for our students to feel that happiness in their learning? Therefore, schools, be them public or private, need to be the safest, most fun, and happiest place for our children. Mutual respect. We are such a diverse country. How do we not just tolerate differences, but truly respect and celebrate each other too? I won't go into details like my amanat, but our first step in achieving this for government schools is by focusing on elevating the burdens that teachers face from administrative work, so that they can then focus on integrating love, happiness, and mutual respect in how they bring the curriculum to life. We have a vision that all parties, from pre-kindergarten to higher education institutions, from the public to the private sector, will make these values as a clarion call for how we are hoping to shape our society and integrate them into how students learn on a daily basis. Quality is often associated solely with academic excellence. Teachers and lecturers feel the brunt of these expectations. And as a former lecturer myself, I know these well enough. In a recent international survey about teachers, a staggering 80% of our teachers which was the highest percentage amongst all countries surveyed, said that they measured their professional performance based on their students' exam results. This must change. One of the focuses for quality here is relevance. We seek to prepare our students for the future through a focus on not just academic excellence, but real-world skills. STEM education will be updated to be more than STEM, but to become STREAM, including the vital components of arts and reading. We will also shift the priorities of teachers and lecturers nationally to focus on teaching STEM in a fun and experiential way, thereby making STEM accessible to all. STEM is not just for those in the science stream and degrees, but needs to be a way of life. We call this paradigm shift STEM for all. 21st education learning skills will become a priority. Can you imagine how powerful it would be to have our graduates and students focus their brain power and effort to find innovative ways to tackle issues such as poverty, the environment, access to healthcare, and literacy in their own backyards. We will also be focusing on making TVET, technical and vocational education and training, a truly viable and attractive option. We will work with industries and institutions such as yourselves to build a new approach towards TVET that have a demand-driven approach in producing competitive graduates in this field. The private education sector has a huge role to play in raising the quality of our education system. We hope that they will not only lead innovation in these areas, but also work with their counterparts in the public sector to provide opportunities for students, teachers, and lecturers to collaborate, learn, and share with one another. We imagine the two sectors coming together to share resources, facilities, and expertise. Exchange of students, exchange of professors, and sharing certain space, sharing library, sharing data. I'm aware that some schools and universities are already doing this, but this area of more openness and partnerships will hopefully see more concerted effort. We need to encourage real partnership between public and private institutions with shared programs and two-way exchanges. We will make that happen in this near future. So far, we have covered values and quality as two main priorities of our game plan. An important enabler for this is through increasing the autonomy and accountability of schools and institutions. The philosophy here is that schools, colleges, universities, districts, and states would understand their own needs, strengths, and weaknesses the best. Previously, the system has had focus on the broad-based notion of equality, where we treated almost every school or university the same. Almost similar resources were given, and in turn expected the same requirements for governance. Now, we are shifting towards accountability-driven equity, where schools and institutions will be empowered with the skills and tools necessary to make the best decisions based on their context. The schools and institutions that prove that they can do this will be given the freedom to decide certain matters and to innovate. This is especially relevant for private higher education institutions that have far too long been over-regulated. Am I right? I can see smiles in the hall. And I believe it's not because of the Valentine's Day. While the regulations are necessary to ensure quality, we are working on more performance-based regulations so that innovation is not stifled. We understand that you have specific challenges such as the mandated ceiling tuition fees and licensing renewal requirements for lecturers. Am I right? We want to assure you that we hear you and will engage you continuously to find solutions that are win-win. Are they cheering for you guys? We ultimately hope that this will allow and incentivize the best to get even better, and that you will lead the way for others to follow. As they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. More specifically, there will be more harmonization between Act 555, Buku 35, and the Universities and Universities Colleges Act, also famously and notoriously known as AUKU, 1971. We will harmonize these two and replace them with a more comprehensive one to ensure that we don't fundamentally treat private and public higher education institutions differently. We are seeking to ensure a culture of excellence exists naturally so that education providers are committed towards a high quality education and experience and not merely following requirements by the ministry. On this, we will continue to engage education providers in crafting a private higher education roadmap together with us, which will cover issues like regulations, governance, internalizations, and more. Private higher education roadmap, where all of you will be part of it. We should work together. In short, our game plan revolves around 3 areas: emphasizing values-driven education, increasing quality, and enabling autonomy and accountability. Moving forward, the ministry's approach will have to be facilitative, empowering, and value-driven, so that we promote growth and not stifle it. A big part of this is to engage the wider society to elevate public-private partnerships, PPP, in education to another level. We're going to elevate PPP in education to a better level. We want to create an ecosystem where schools are for the community and universities are for the society. This means that schools exist to develop students who will be contributing members of their community, and universities at a wider scale to our society. In return, the community and society itself should play a larger role in contributing towards education. A call to action for us today is for more private education institutions to role model this. We have seen several private schools and universities doing so, whether it's through community service, scholarships to the underprivileged, extending resources to public schools, or engaging in problem-solving research for the betterment of the society. This is especially pertinent because of the efforts taken by the ministry to champion the rights of the underprivileged, from kids left behind to students with special education needs. We hope that we can obtain your support in doing so. Can we? I take that as a promise. Because this is a dialogue, the things I have mentioned here are but a fraction of our efforts taken so far in transforming the education system in Malaysia. If you would like to know more, I would suggest that you read the amanat I've given in January, as well as the Malaysia Education and Higher Education Blueprints. As I look around this room, I'm heartened that there are so many individuals here today that have decided to dedicate themselves to a career in education. I, myself, have spent most of my career in academia, and I'm sure that we all got into this industry to nurture and grow others for the development of the country and globally. This takes me back to my time as a lecturer, where we would engage in discussions, debates, and dialogues on all sorts of things, all in the name of pursuing truth. I look forward to pursue this truth with all of you later, of how we can do better and how all of us can play a greater role in creating a system where we can unleash the wonder and potential of all our students and graduates. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum and thank you very much.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Dr. Maszlee Malik, for that enlightening and passionate, speech. It really shows how much you care for education. All right. Now, I would like Yang Berhormat Dr. Maszlee Malik. Okay, and now I would like to invite both of you back to your seats as we will continue. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin our next session.